We set out to build a 1960s inspired vintage supercar. To do this, we took a very capable platform, a Porsche Boxster, ripped the skin off of it, lengthened the wheelbase, put a V8 into it, began hand forming an aluminum body, and more. This has been a passion project for Tony and I for some time now, and we're excited to hop back onto it today. So now it is time to rebuild Tony's father's Ford 302 so that it can make more than double the factory horsepower. This is Crucible Coachworks.
We need this engine to feel like it's coming out of a Lamborghini, not a Ford Mustang. Fortunately, Ford's Ferrari killer, the GT40, started with this same basic engine block, so we know there's a formula to make it work. So I saved up my money, I bought a whole bunch of parts so we can turn one of the most common engines onto the planet into something that belongs in a supercar. Because contrary to public opinion, not all parts on YouTube are sponsored. We're taking our 302 to a 331 with a combination of bore and stroke that should be a good balance between attaining high RPM and making good power. We got the parts back from the machine shop, and now it's time to put them together. We're building a supercar engine, so we know we're going to be dealing with some tight clearances. One place we know we're going to have an issue because of the stroke or crank is where the push rod is going to contact the bottom of the cylinder sleeve. So we're going to put a little bit of that together so we can figure out exactly where it is and how much we have to grind out.
Oh look, the little spider's gonna help us. I'm gonna name him Clarence. What's the clearance, Clarence? What's the clearance?
Almost smashed Clarence.
Yo, you leave Clarence out of this. He's my boy. It's okay, Clarence. I won't let him hurt you.
Clarence cleared out of there. That's a little tight, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Isn't it?
I didn't know you were British.
Oh yeah.
We're not even like 2 parts in, and we had a part that doesn't fit right, and Tony just put his computer to check it. But I'm fairly certain he put the bearing in the wrong spot. This is the thrust bearing here, and it won't go on the end where he was trying to put it, like a Porsche engine would be. But I'm pretty sure it goes in the middle here. So this is the bearing he put there. This is why I think it's supposed to go here, because there's like a little chamfer there, a little channel, little milled portion. Yeah. That's the guy, and then this one's supposed to go down here, actually, I think. Should I go tell him, or should I let him just sit in the computer?
Do you want to get anything done today?
I would tell him.
This is why you don't let your Porsche guy build your Ford engine. They even put the bearing like in the end of the box.
Yeah, it was on the edge right there.
Yeah, which is, again, where I expect it to be. Back in the back.
See, Tony, you and I are both learning to build our first Ford V8 together.
That's right.
Yeah, see, Tony, see how there's like a nice little notch in there for the thrust bearing?
Yeah, I see that. That's nice. We'll probably be cleaning this off and putting new on later, but it needs to be lubed while we rotate this engine, so we don't want to damage our new bearing.
We gotta lube it or lose it?
Yep, lube it or lose it.
Dang, you sprung for the nice stuff too.
Yeah, I probably should put something cheaper in here for our first thing. But.
Yo, crank that soldier boy.
Yeah. Crank out some more reps.
Careful, careful.
For my fingers or the crank?
The crank.
Look at that.
Ooh, that's a nicely machined block.
That's like my fidget spinner right there.
That'd be a little hard to carry around. Apparently Tony's notes is just watching our old video to figure out where things were installed. I figured he had them on like a napkin somewhere or something, but...
AI says that I was right.
Oh, good. It used to be don't use the first result on Google, now it's don't use the first AI result on Google.
Correct. Take my dumb tape off. I was going to paint the block a long time ago, and I was like, no, we got too much stuff to do before we paint this. So now I'm just taking all my tape back off.
So you can put the oil pump on.
Yep.
Underneath the girdle. This is called the girdle.
Don't you?
I do like saying girdle. It's a fun word.
What's so fun about that?
It's just the way it rolls off the tongue. Girdle.
Girdle.
I like the girdle. This is the oil pump, and the pickup will go here. You look like a DJ right now. Is that what DJs look like?
Yeah, that's what they look like.
Is it gonna fit?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we already ran into our first clearance issue.
The bolt for the girdle
Doesn't
in the way
clear
of the oil
pump.
pump. Wait, how close is it? Is it a gasket close? We'll put in the gasket and change that?
No, it's not. It's not gasket close. It's like spacer close.
Oh boy.
So this piece that we're having a little issue with is the main cap girdle, and the reason for this is to support all of our crankshaft main bearing caps. Without this girdle on here, you can see this stands up this tall, and that's room for it to float around. This ties them all together and helps support them.
Like a strut bar?
Except it serves a lot more purpose. A lot of those are a waste of time. Some of the factory blocks that they really wanted to reinforce, they actually used what they called a 4-bolt main. So instead of the main bearing cap having 2 bolts, it had 4. It had 2 more bolts that went in that direction to help support them even more. So short of moving to a 4-bolt main, you can put this girdle on, and like I said, it ties all of these together so that they can support each other and keep from walking around. So I think this is a problem for future me. Right now, we want to deal with our clearance on the block, and we'll come back to this later.
Can't rush temporary.
That's right. None of this is temporary. We're going together.
I cannot get over how flat the tops of these pistons are.
Yeah, so one interesting thing, a lot of the Porsche stuff we deal with, the pistons have a dome, and then there's a lot more area in the cylinder head, where here, very flat top piston, but then very small area in the cylinder head. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time checking the clearance on our bearings, because while the machinist was doing the block and balancing the rotating assembly, he checked that for us. Because when you put it all together and this is spinning, the bearing is not actually contacting the crankshaft at all. The idea is that there is a thin layer of film always between here, and so you need a certain amount of clearance, probably about 1/1000 and a half here, and that's what allows the space for the oil to live and protects your bearings, because if they actually make contact, that's when you have problems. Bottom got a little bit heavier now. You don't want your rod to contact the cylinder wall.
It's so flat.
There's a number on the side of the rod, on the rod and the bearing cap, and they need to line up. If you flip it around, then the hole won't be a true circle.
All that machining would be for nothing.
Correct.
Clarence, don't fall. Where are you going? That was a close one, buddy. Oh, no, he's back down again.
Well, that's interesting. I knew that there was some clearancing that could be an issue. I didn't expect it to be on the opposite side cylinder. No, it's not hitting, but we'll have to make sure we got enough room there. It looks pretty tight. You'd be surprised how much these seemingly very rigid and immovable objects become when you start spinning at 7,000 RPMs. Things start moving around, so you have to have more clearance there than you think to make room for that. There it hits, right there.
Well, custom engines, baby.
That's it. We gotta grind that away so that that doesn't hit.
These are the woes of trying to get more than double the horsepower out of a 302. Lots of custom parts that add up to tight tolerances. In this case, negative tolerances. And the worst part is now we have a really clean engine block and all these clean parts with nice oil holes that we do not want to fill with junk. So we have to go through and mark where we're gonna grind all these spots, take it apart or mask it or something, grind it, and then continue past that. So it's gonna take some time for sure. But it still take us a lot of time. In the video, not so much. That's better. One down and
7 more to go.
7 more to go. Not that we filmed that one, Tony.
Oh, you were standing right here filming the whole time. You didn't see me do that?
I was eating lunch.
Bump stick.
like a little mushroom part of the key, I think. Just a little bit. Not anymore.
You like that?
Yeah, so is this like upgraded for more power? Or is it just a fresh version?
I mean, it's fresh. It's also adjustable, as we saw from Ryan to Anthony. And, you know, it should be strong enough to handle the extra pressure of the valve springs and everything that we're using, so.
This looks like caveman compared to Porsche.
You insulted somebody.
Maybe, but I've built many Porsche engines, believe it or not, guys, and this looks like the Tinker Toys version. There's a lot less to go wrong, it looks like.
This is an old gasket that I cleaned up. We're just using this so that we can pre-assemble this and check our clearances, and that's just gonna set that gap. I need to consult the book.
This is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding a Civilization, which in short is an illustrated encyclopedia of humankind's greatest inventions and discoveries. As a kid, I was fascinated with books like this, and I'd read them cover to cover over and over again. This book is packed with over 400 pages, all covering 180 topics. And my favorite part about this book is the art. The art is so well done and not made by AI. Plus, the paper they use for the book is super satisfying and heavy. Almost every page seems to have a pop culture reference of some sort. Here's just a couple, without naming any names. They tickled my fancy. Tony and I both love this book. We only have one copy, so we're probably gonna buy another one, so we don't have to keep, shuttling it back and forth between each other's houses. You can find out more about the book in a video description down below. Big thanks to Hungry Minds for sponsoring this week's video. Now, let's get back to work.
So I'm just installing these bolts temporarily, and I'm putting some washers under them because none of this is the hardware that we're going to end up using, but I am not screwing these in against these bare aluminum heads. I picked these cylinder heads basically because this is all being modeled after a build I found online that I thought matched the personality and performance that I was looking for out of this engine. In their build, they used the Renegade 205 cylinder heads from AFR, but by the end of it all, they realized that they probably could have gotten a little more in the mid-range with the 185s. So I went down to the 185s from their 205s, but that's added a couple of technical difficulties in the middle of all of this. One thing we want this engine to do is we want this to rev up to high RPMs. By high, I'm thinking 72, 7400. So I knew I was going to have to switch the springs out of these cylinder heads to do that. I didn't realize that to get the springs I needed for my camshaft, I would need to go with a larger diameter than what's on here, and that will not fit into these cylinder heads. So we're going to have them machined for the larger valve springs.
Yep, and you're dropping them off tonight, so we gotta keep
moving.
Keep us moving here for our clearancing.
All right.
Tony, why are you taking them off?
So we want to check our pushrod length, and so we're going to run it through its paces, but I really don't want to try and use an adjustable pushrod against these valve springs. So I've got some tiny little wimpy springs that will close them enough for turning it around by hand, but won't bend our adjustable pushrod. But I want to take these off with the cylinder head off, not with it on the engine. Yay. It's just a little bit lighter.
Just a little bit. But as light as the wastegate spring on the Corolla right now. Imagine if you had like a really strong hands that could do that with regular valve springs.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's better than the lizard button.
The lizard button got destroyed, Brian.
Yeah, I miss it.
We knew that was going to happen.
I couldn't be trusted.
Doesn't that look cool?
Ooh, look at the little scorpions. Does that mean that like you really mean business, Tony?
Yeah.
The Scorpion? Are you the Scorpion King? I love me the Mummy.
Yes.
Although that movie sucks. That's the worst of the franchise. But the Mummy is better than Indiana Jones, and I will die on that hill.
Yes, you will. There we go.
I didn't hear any clanks. That's a good start, right?
Yeah, that's a good start. So what you're looking for here is that the roller contacts the valve stem right in the middle all the way through its travel. And you can see here, it's almost perfectly in the center. Good guess.
Beautiful.
And so what this tells us is that the length of this push rod as it currently stands is exactly what we want. If this were off center, we could lengthen or shorten this push rod, and that would move the pattern towards the center of that valve stem.
So you just guessed first try.
I really did just guess first try. I just set it to where I thought it would be and tried it, and that's where it landed. 6.991. So yeah.
Should we just call that 7?
Yep. Because if you're buying pre-made push rods, from what I can tell, they're going to come in 50 thousandths increments. So this is a 7.
Cool. Now we got to order push rods.
Yep. All right. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to pull this cylinder head back off. We're going to take the cylinder heads to the machinist and get our valve spring pockets machined out so that our new springs will fit in. And then tomorrow, we can put this together, not temporary.
The next day.
So I dropped the cylinder heads off with the machinist so he can do our valve spring pockets. While he's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of our clearancing done for our rods, between our rods and our block.
Speaking of the machinist, I just realized when you put these freeze plugs in, they are all in the same orientation. So like they're not spun around any which way. Bet you the other side's the same way too. Oh yeah, it is. That is so satisfying. And that's how we know he's a good machinist.
That's right. That's it. That's the key.
It's the operation.
Yep. Don't want to touch the sides.
We're gonna be reusing this timing cover, so I'm gonna blast it in the old blasting cabinet. Refresh it. That's a lot better. Still some junk in here though, so I'm gonna throw in the ultrasonic cleaner and also pull these seals out. And then it should be good to go. Well, it doesn't fully fit, but I can at least get the parts that are problematic. If you don't recall, this is the water pump block-off plate that we made because we have an electric water pump in this car. So it's just a little Y of tubing to a single inlet. And then there's the 2 ports that go into the engine block, which attach to the timing cover, which I'm currently cleaning up. So I'm also going to blast this and clean it up because we're gonna paint it along with the engine block. Not sure what color yet, but that's for Tony to decide.
I'm working on it.
But for as crude as this thing is, it held up pretty well and it fit perfectly and it didn't leak. So those are all wins. Much better. Don't you just love grinding on a freshly cleaned engine block, Tony?
Yep, and then clean it up, and then put some stuff together and check it, and then take it apart, and then clean it again, and then once you get it all done, then you can wash everything really, really good.
We figured now would be a good time to also gap the piston rings while the engine block is still dirty, because we'll probably have to file them. And Tony just popped the first piston ring in, and well, what do you see, Tony? Do you even see a gap?
No. Nope. I thought these might just drop in, but they don't, so we're going to be filing.
Yeah, it's really important for your piston ring to have a little bit of a gap here, because as heat happens and they expand, you don't want them to contact and, you know, crack.
If that comes all the way together, it won't have anywhere to go, and so it will literally just break itself. Don't need that. So we're looking for 18, and like Ryan said, you barely have enough room for daylight in there right now, so we have some filing to do.
18 what?
18 thousandths of an inch.
So this is a piston ring grinder. You'll be able to clamp the piston ring in here and then kick it on. Your little hobby motor spins, and you'll be able to actuate this here to push the piston ring in and grind the end and get that gap set.
The nice thing about this is, well, I don't know where it is, but there's a dial indicator. There's the dial indicator. It was still in the box. But we'll put that on there, and then we can measure how much we grind off. So you get it all set up nice and square, and I got a couple adjustments to make there, and then you can zero it. You'll be able to measure how much you're grinding off, so hopefully you can do it in one shot, or maybe two.
Don't worry, if you overdo it, we'll just weld some more back on.
Yeah, perfect. Don't want any burrs on there. That'll do a number on your cylinder.
I think a bear would too. A burr.
A burr? You don't need a burr. There's a gap. I'm just going to use the piston to square it off, because if it's not square in there, the measurement will not be right. I just line it up with the ring lamb there to make sure that my piston's square. There we go.
All right, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. All right, yep. That's about right.
How many more to do?
7. Well,
2 per, right?
7 more top rings, and then 8 more second rings, and then the oil rings usually don't need to be gapped, they just need to be checked.
Is that a garden hose?
It is. Nothing beats hand washing. I mean, we got a big...
Yo, I'm saving that for when your wife wants you to do dishes next.
Yeah.
No dishwasher for you.
Well, honestly, I can hand wash better than the dishwasher does. But yeah, if you want to get it clean, I mean, we've got a big dishwasher style machine that we put stuff in, but for this final cleaning, nothing beats hand washing.
So the engine is now clean. Tony got it all cleaned up in the sink. We're almost ready for final assembly. We did, however, learn that we need to check the clearances for the bearings on the main bearings on the crankshaft and also the bearings on the rods.
We know we need to always do that. We just
Yes.
now realize that it hasn't yet been done.
Yeah, we thought the machinist did it, which was an assumption that I don't know why I made that assumption earlier and why Tony went along with it.
I always go along with you when you first say things and then correct you later.
So anyway, what I have here in this little pouch, what I had here,
no.
I just wrapped it. It's on the floor. Dude, this thing's like a slithery snake.
It's like the finest piece of spaghetti.
I was gonna say dental floss. I can't pick it up, dude. There we go, we're good. What I was going to say is this fine piece of dental floss is what's known as Plastigate. So we need to use this to figure out the clearancing between the bearings and the crankshaft to make sure oil can go between it and that we're good to go.
I like to put just a tad bit of grease on there and make sure that the Plastigate stays where you put it and doesn't roll onto the floor, right, Ryan?
Yeah, or or go in the oil port, that'd be bad too.
Yeah.
Very delicate procedure. Doesn't need to be very long. The hardest part about all this is trying to make sure that nothing moves when you put the caps on. Nothing more frustrating than doing all this and then smearing all your Plastigate and having to do it all over again. Because it takes a lot of time.
Time for step 2. So the Plastigate is a very specific size, and when you put it in here, it will crush, and how much it crushes determines what the clearance in there is, which you simply do by comparing to the chart. I'm looking at the metric side. Yeah, that's what I thought, 2,000th. So we have about 2,000ths oil clearance on that bearing.
Is that good? Is that what we want?
Yeah, that should be good. And with all that extra pressure and volume from our oil pump, we'll be great.
Yeah, because the oil pump is extra spicy.
There we go. Yeah, it's showing the same. 2,000ths.
Excellent.
Yeah, consistency, I like it. Now that we know our bearing clearances are good on our mains, we're gonna check our rods. Just 8 of those to do. So we plastic gauged a couple of the rods, and you can see that that is wider than this, which according to our gauge means that that clearance is less. It's probably about 15 thousandth if you're looking at our little guy here, maybe just a little bit more than that. And so it's kind of like when you go to the doctor and you don't hear what you want, so you go to another one. We're gonna measure this a different way, a more precise way, and make sure that we're gonna be okay, because we are kind of pushing this to the limit of what our oil clearance should be.
Tony, we live in America. We can't afford to see multiple doctors.
If we take this gauge and we measure, and it's metric, so Ryan's gonna like that, but it confirms that we're right where we wanna be and no less. That plastic gauge suggested we might be a little over 15 10,000ths. And this directly says it. It shows that we're about 17 10,000, so a little over 1,000th and a half, exactly where we need to be and no less. Now that we know our oil clearances are good, we can assemble our pistons, rings, pins, and rods and put them in the block. Woo. Yeah. Pistons and rods are assembled. Now we just gotta drop them in, and then our rotating assembly is together, and I can fidget spin it.
With a lot more friction.
Yeah, probably not with my fingers anymore. This isn't the best piston ring compressor, but I don't normally do 4-inch pistons, so.
There's always like a sketchy moment too. You always get nervous about a ring giving, ring catching.
Some work, that ring is not sitting in there right.
I'll just hammer it in, it'll be fine.
Ryan.
Get the BFH.
Ryan! This is why we let Ryan do body work, because he always wants to pick up the BFH.
Oh. So you're saying you don't need this now?
I don't need that, no thank you.
Okay. Tony, did you know that my daughter pretends to be you going to work now?
I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
So my wife often has like little baggies of ink saw markers because I take them home and I don't bring them back to work. Shocker, I know. So she tells Chloe that baggie's for daddy to take to work. So she picks it up now and goes to the front door and says, bye, I'm going to work. I'm going to go work with daddy. And then later she'll go, I'm Tony, you be daddy, when she points at my wife and, you know, makes believe being Tony at home. So you're basically her hero.
Hi, Chloe.
Yeah. She's gonna love watching that on TV later.
We're doing that in 2 steps, so now I gotta do it again.
How's it feel, Tony?
Oh, that's fidgety.
All right, 1 down.
Yep, 7 to go.
Ram it in there.
Oh yeah, good idea.
Look, now we have the right bolt. And I just hit puberty too.
So proud of you, Ryan.
Yeah, you know, it's all in a day's work. You can take that rocker.
Rocker arm stud.
Yeah. We didn't have the right bolt, but now we do. So, oh.
It's not the right threads.
No, we don't have the right bolt, Tony. Did Google lie to you? Did you use the AI answer again?
I did not use the AI answer. I never use it. I hate AI answers.
So these are the valve springs we started with, and these are the chunkuses we upgraded to. Look at that difference. Holy guacamole. Also, shout out to the machinist for getting this done overnight.
Yeah, thank you so much. If you're gonna use a high performance camshaft like we're using, you know, we're not worried about gas mileage and we're not worried about like great idle quality, then you need a lot of lift and a lot of RPM. And these obviously are not gonna be able to keep up the way these are. This is what we needed. And so it took a little bit more effort, but glad we did it. Now we can put them in. Yikes, don't do that.
Who drops important machining parts?
Yeah, not even that. I dropped it and then, and then hit the block with the hammer. There we go.
I've always liked how ARP cards look like vintage, like action figure cards almost.
These look like they've been hanging on the wall of like a speed shop for the last 20 years.
Probably were.
We have 7/16 bolts and 1/2-inch holes, so this is the fix for that. We got our bottom end and rotating assembly together. Finally, after some trials and tribulations, now we can set up our valve train, which is most of the way there, especially since we got our valve spring set in there. Put the covers back on, and then we're gonna bolt this in and have it running again. Woo! So we definitely have a lot of work left to do, but that's gonna come again soon, and we're gonna have Jigsaw up and running again. Thanks for hanging in the shop with us.